Premier League. It all kicks off again in just a little over a week's time. And for the last couple of seasons, it's been terrible. Nothing to do with the football, mind. It has been terrible because of the rules and the implementation of VAR. Now, when VAR was coming into football, I was happy. I thought the game needed technology for such a long time. Goal line technology had been such a success, and I wanted video replays to be used to get decisions correct. I think there was a lot of people thinking exactly the same, and it's been a complete and utter disaster. How on earth could any of us have anticipated the officials and the rule makers messing this up so much? I mean, they've messed it up so much that I've actually lost the enjoyment of the game. I can't celebrate a single goal now because it might be ruled offside by a toenail, or there might have been the little finger might have been brushed with the ball and the goal's ruled out. It's been an utter shambles ever since it was put in. And then even when they do go to something that needs a correction on the VAR, the people looking at the VAR are as bad as him. They can't see what all the viewers see, because it's the officials who were incompetent to start with in charge of the VAR. I mean, how they get it wrong time after time with the technology is just blows my mind. The amount of decisions last season was just appalling. So many wrong decisions. So, what rules would I change in football? Well, the first one is the offside rule. Okay, right now it's utterly stupid. I actually read something just before doing this recording that said that officials are not going to worry about armpits and toenails and stuff being offside. They're not going to worry about it. That is fantastic news, because that has ruined football, in my opinion. The whole point of offside is the attacker gaining an advantage over the defence. He is not if a toenail is offside. He just isn't. So that alone will, help big time. The handball rule, that needs to, why was that even put in? How stupid is that? The ball accidentally touches the attacker's hand, it's automatically ruled out. I remember Lucas Moura falling on his back last season and the ball brushed his arm, and the goal for Harry Kane was ruled out. Utterly stupid. That just has to go. I don't know about you, but when I watch football, I can tell when it's a deliberate handball. The player, defender or attacker, will move his hand to the ball. It's not difficult to tell. It's not difficult to see. And, they have the technology to, slow it down. It's just... deliberate handball, let's look at some examples. Thierry Henry versus Ireland. That little flick with his hand, to keep it in play. Clear as day, that was deliberate. Suarez against Ghana. He was sent off for it. They could see that one. Deliberate handball. There are Maradona. The video replay would see that these days. It's not difficult to see if it's a deliberate handball. Okay? And that's what they got to look for. Use the technology. Don't make a stupid rule. As for defenders having to defend with their arms behind their backs and stuff in case they give away a penalty. Now, I think the Premier League came to some common sense and they kind of stopped that nonsense halfway through last season. But of course, making a rule change halfway through the season is just as bad. It doesn't wipe out goals ruled out for the, nonsense, or penalties given for the nonsense earlier on in the season. So it just annoys you just as much. Hopefully this season they change that. So it's offside. and the Handball Rule, which were utterly rubbish. They need to go. So other changes I would make to football, try and improve the game. One that has bugged me for years, and this has nothing to do with technology in the game, it's to do with the referee. It's the transitional foul. You all know the foul. Your team is defending, or a team is defending. They get the ball off the attacking team, they start breaking forward, it looks like a good attack, and then someone comes in and just takes the player out. This is supposed to be a yellow card. It doesn't matter what time in the game it is supposed to be a yellow card, and every single referee bottles it all the time. It is so rare that this foul gets given as a yellow card. And then for the whole match, it goes on and on and on. And you end up with a player in the midfield, it's usually a midfielder, getting 3, 4, 5 fouls, all transitional type fouls, all clever, as the pundits like to put it. Just constantly fouling the guy, breaking with the ball, not going for the ball, it's quite obvious, and it just allows that attacking team to then get back in a defensive position, which they weren't in before. It infuriates me. It really does. So, in order to stop this, I say just make it a red. Straight up red. If referees aren't going to enforce the yellow, just make it a bloody red. Right? It would stop within a week. No one would make that foul. Think of the amount of attacks and goals that would be scored off of these counter-attacks if that was a red card. You know, players would not do it. They would fear to do it, and they wouldn't. I mean, if referees actually enforce it and made it a yellow card, it would be fine. Okay, the fouls would still go on, but players would have to pick and choose when. And it would just be a better game because of it. And I'm sick and tired of this foul. It happens all the time. And, you know, teams just get screwed over by it all the time because the referees haven't got the bottle to do what is supposedly written in the rules. It drives me mad. It really does. Now, the other issues I have with the game they're both to do with time wasting, really. I don't like time wasting. Even when my team is winning, I don't like time wasting. It's such an easy thing to solve as well. The referee needs to be in charge of the clock. That's simple. When a team makes a substitution or there's an injury, the referee stops the clock. You can even put the clock so the fans can see the clock. So with this, you always get 90 minutes worth of football instead of a load of minutes wasted on substitutions and injuries and stuff, because the referees, they never add on the correct amount of time, and if there's substitutions, it's supposed to be 30 seconds per sub. It never is. You get some matches, they've had 6 substitutions, and, you know, they've got 1 minute at the end. Sorry, what? That just doesn't add up. You know, just have the referee in charge of the clock. Just stop-start when there's a substitution or an injury. Okay, I mean, goal kicks, corners, you kind of want time wasting in those. The referee can issue a yellow card, and you want teams to be able to hold the ball in the corner. That's part of the game. Injuries and subs, stop the clock. It's not a difficult change to make. Along the same lines, substitutions. You know, why not say no more substitutions after 80 minutes? You know, having someone come on for a minute to 30 seconds, they can't impact the game. It is clearly and obviously a tactic to waste time. The player takes an age to get off the damn pitch. And, you know, player comes on, doesn't do anything, time runs out, the referee doesn't add the extra on. If the referee had charge of the clock and substitutions weren't allowed after the 80th minute, I think it would stop a lot of the nonsense. So, I mean, that's 2 things there. Along the same lines of substitutions, I think concussion needs to be sorted out already. I don't know what they're doing. They're just faffing about as usual, not coming up with a plan. The NFL have something reasonably good. They have a blue tent off to the side. Okay? if they suspect someone of a concussion, and it's a lot harder to detect that in NFL, considering they're all ramming into each other and, they've all got helmets on. In football, it's quite easy to tell if you clash heads with someone. You take that player off, the referee can stop the clock until he's off the pitch. He goes off the pitch, a sub comes on to the pitch, a concussion sub. That player goes on, match restarts, plays on. The player with the suspected concussion goes into the tent, gets examined properly by a professional, a doctor, who then will either recommend that he sits out the rest of the game or says, you're okay to go back on. Whatever, I'm not a medical expert, but something like that needs to happen. And I say in a blue tent because that's what the NFL does. I don't think it should be done on the pitch in front of all the fans. There needs to be an element of privacy here. Take as long as you need, and then if that player can come back on, and it's all agreed with the manager to allow him to come back on, the concussion substitution can come out again. It cannot be that hard to implement. Just get on with it, or do something, to help deal with this problem. Now, VAR. It's the biggest problem in the game. We need to get rid of this clear and obvious nonsense. The referees need to stop hiding behind that. I'm sick of it. And I'm also sick of the fact that referees are in charge of VAR. I really think they have proven themselves to be completely incompetent without it and with it in the last 2 seasons. It's time for an independent panel, people trained specifically to look at video replay in normal motion and slower motion to determine what the hell happened. I watch TV screens and I can see if a player is going down before there's contact. Why can't they? It's not that difficult. You can see when a player is initiating the contact. Why is it so difficult? I've got to put it down to the officials just being bad at their jobs. So, get people in, get them trained, so we have someone who's specifically involved in that. Even bring in ex-footballers who have nothing to do with the current teams playing, because obviously there'll be bias. But, ex-footballers can explain this, that and the other to people. It's always going to be an opinion at the end of the day, but some of the decisions last season were appalling. Just look at the Euros. Sterling against Denmark. It was never a penalty. Never. But they wouldn't overturn it because it wasn't clear and obvious. It's just nonsense. You've got the technology to get the correct decision, so get the correct decision. Sort it out. And while I'm saying that, contact, that's the other thing. I can see it, you can see it, we can all see when there's contact in the box. Is this game still a contact sport? Because every single week I see the same incident happen. The attacker gets a tiny bit of contact and goes down like he's been shot. Just, they're not going to stop it if you keep giving penalties for it. So stop giving penalties for it and start booking the player who's falling over like a pillock. Just get it right. You can clearly see if the contact brings down a player, or if the attacker is initiating the contact, or if there's just clearly not enough contact for him to go down. The fact he gets touched in the box does not give him a right, or as the pundits call it, the striker's being clever, to go down. They just do not have a right to go down. If it's a foul, if it fouls them, if it forces them to the ground, or if they manage to stay on their feet but a goalkeeper clips them, don't penalise them by not giving the penalty because they didn't go down. Give the bloody penalty. You can see it. It's not that difficult. So we have to decide that. Now, there's plenty of other changes I would make off the field, like reducing the prices of tickets. I mean, the Spurs stadium. Okay, I support Spurs, so that's what I know. £10 a pint. You know, we got 2 friendlies coming up this week, and we got to pay £8 to watch them. And we're being lured into that. Oh, £4 goes to charity. Seriously? Like, the money in football, the wages that these footballers are on. Like, I don't blame the footballers. Who would turn down this kind of money? It's mad. This is just not sustainable. They're talking £150 million for Kane. £150 million. He could break his leg the very first training session. I mean, it's utter madness. The money in football right now needs to change. The kits in football need to change. Nowadays, you get a home kit, you get an away kit, you get a third kit, you get a training kit, you get 2 goalkeeper kits. No, hold on, 3 goalkeeper kits. And then why not throw in another kit just for a good laugh? And quite often, the away kit has nothing to do with the colours of your club, has nothing to do with tradition or history. It's just all money, 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 money. And they're not cheap. Your kids want the new bloody kit every single season. And they don't disappoint. They bring them out every single season. It's utter madness, and it just needs to change. It needs to stop. Someone needs to step in and start regulating this massive money in football, because it's killing the sport. I mean, you know Man City and Chelsea are going to be up there. Like, they've bought their success. You know they're going to be up there. Man United, you know, they had the model everyone wanted. They were making the money, so they were able to spend the big money. Their core, when they were winning stuff, all came through their youth ranks, most of them anyway. And they just went out and they bought the best striker, or they bought the best defender. You know, that was the model to follow, and then it all changed. And now it's just money, 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 and football's becoming boring at the elite level because of it. And as soon as something bad happens and they realise that it's not sustainable, European Super Leagues turn up. So, somewhere, someone has to step in and start regulating this stuff. Wages need to come down. You know, the fans are being pushed out for the... You know, who can afford this crap? In 10 years' time, can anyone afford this? It's mad. It's utterly mad right now. And then you got things like agents. It's about time the players paid their agents and not the clubs. Clubs are being held to ransom by agent fees. The player should pay the agent, not the club. It's getting stupid. These agents just need to go. Like, it is awful. I mean, part of the money is TV money as well, but TV scheduling also needs to change. I mean, clubs are getting messed over left, right, and centre with, you know, having to be on TV. 2 years in a row, Spurs had to play 12:30 p.m. at Newcastle. Did anyone consider the fans here? They have to get up at 4 a.m. to travel all the way up to Newcastle to get there for kickoff. Just, you know, seriously, start thinking of the fans or you're going to lose them. Okay? I mean, I love football. I really do. And I am miserable with what I'm watching right now. It doesn't help that I support Spurs. Okay? They've been god-awful the last couple of seasons. But every other match I watch, I'm just appalled. There's always a crap decision from the VAR or the referee, and it's not turned over by VAR. Or, you know, it's something like mega money PSG versus some team, and you know it's 4-0, or it's not 4-0. It should be 4-0, but instead it's 0-0 because that team can only park the bus. They can't do anything in the match because they're against this mega money team. I don't watch any Man City matches because it's just the same every single match. They have the ball for the entirety of the game, and unless they have an off day, you know what the final outcome is. There's just no point in watching. It's boring, and it's getting more and more boring as time goes on. You want an exciting game, you've got to make it fairer across the board. And that doesn't just apply to the Premier League and all the foreign leagues. Going down, the Championship needs to catch up to the Premiership. You need to sort it. Otherwise, it is going to be like a European Super League, or that will be the future of football. And I don't want that. I'm pretty sure most people don't want that. That's the way it's going to go. We need change. These changes, I think, would be good for the game. What do you think? And with that, I will say, come on, you Spurs.